So let's talk about it. Let's talk about a bit of Gypsy Rose. Not Gypsy Rose specifically, because I feel like everyone and their auntie. I've made 2 videos on her. One that was completely on her, and then the other one was more about what was coming out about this other girl who was like best friends with Gypsy, and then that kind of went a bit sour when Gypsy was then let out on parole.
So, please stop asking me about her. And if you follow me just because of her, please just go follow her. I'd rather have my own followers, okay? I don't know what's happening.
I've stated thy opinions. Thy opinions have been stated several times. I know that there are a lot of people that are very like to and again, like a very like fighty either side for whatever. I think in the most condensed way, she did inevitably manipulate Nicholas Godejohn to unalive her mother, done her time, and now she's out. Do I think there are a lot of inconsistencies? Yeah, I do. Do I think she went through a bloody awful time? Unimaginable to me, therefore I can't even comprehend it? Yeah, totally. Do I think he got a fair trial? No. So that's basically it. I'm not going to go into any more details on it because I already have done. But that's basically how I feel. I feel like you can be a victim and then also victimize other people. But what's that saying that everyone always says? There's no such thing as like a something victim. I'm sorry, my brain's not really working today. So what we're going to be talking about today is actually something which I have found ultra interesting, which is the Nick Godejohn situation. He is the ex-boyfriend of Gypsy's. The end, I think, of my last video, I was basically saying how it looks like he might actually be having another trial, you know, because a lawyer is basically arguing that he wasn't given a fair one. But this is like his 3rd time, I think, with trying to, you know, get another trial. And as people pointed out in the last video, there's something called double jeopardy. So no, Gypsy can't be convicted of the same crimes kind of thing. She's not going to go back to prison. But whether or not, you know, he could be let out, I don't really know. I'm not a legal head, but they're just basically trying to argue the fact that he wasn't given a fair trial, which is something that I do personally agree with. I don't think he was given a very fair trial when you really look at the big picture. Actually hear from him in the New York Post. Now this was posted like last month, so yes, I am a little bit late to the game, but for anyone that doesn't know, I'm just going to read it out. He wrote in a letter and I thought it was quite interesting. The killer ex-boyfriend of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who fatally plunged a knife in her mother, referred to himself as Mr. Smiley and refused to mention his famous former gal pal. Whoever wrote this, I swear, in a bizarre email to the Post on Wednesday, days after her new documentary aired. He said, "I want people to know that I am not lost in the ether of all what is going on with whom shall not be named. I am just being patient for my true time to speak." Asked by the Post what Godejohn thought of her newfound fame, marital escapades, and what life has been like behind bars, he said, "I must be conscientious about my decisions. A lot of these questions will be answered in a foreseeable interview at the right time, which is not now. Stay positive, healthy, and safe, Mr. Vago. True sincerity, Nicholas, Mr. Smiley Godejohn." Considering everything we know about him, it wouldn't surprise me that this is the kind of email that he'd be sending in. But it also ties into the fact that, yes, he is supposedly going to be able, I can't remember what they said, the date or whatever, but I mentioned it in my last video, that yeah, he could actually be going and seeking out another trial to try and get a better decision, a better verdict, which I do think that this is what his attorney is arguing, that his mental health was just not taken into consideration and it wasn't very fair, and he was like almost shut down in parts of the trial. I mean, quite literally it says right here that, you know, he calls himself Mr. Smiley and then attaches loads of smiley faces onto whatever he's writing. So it's very childlike, you know. So yes, I don't think he was given a fair trial considering now what we know. But that's just my own opinion. You guys can have yours.
We created a documentary series with confessions from prison that'll be airing on Lifetime Friday the 5th. Please tune in. We also did an incredible ebook called Released, and those include private conversations that we've had over the years. I mean, topics from be getting married, to love, to being released, and what her dreams and hopes are.
There's this woman called Melissa Moore. Now, she not only was like the executive producer, whoever, whatever, of the like prison confessions, she also co-wrote whatever the ebook that Gypsy had released, and I'm pretty sure that came out at the same time as well. Anyway, there's a whole lot of like backing behind this, and I've always said from the very beginning that I think a lot of people are making a hell of a lot of money out of this situation. Am I a hypocrite because I'm making this video and it's monetized? Yeah, sure, maybe I am. You can call me a hypocrite. But what I'm trying to say is that as soon as she was released, she was on like interviews, she was doing like morning shows, she was on podcasts of channels that like I'd never even heard of before. She was everywhere, doing brand sponsorships. Like it felt like everyone wanted a little piece, and I feel like people do still want that now. So when I then heard that Melissa Moore, basically the backing behind the things on her release, the ebook and also the prison confessions, she did this headline and it was like, it's all my fault. And I'm just a bit confused. But basically, what is really interesting about this woman, right? Moore has written and spoken extensively about being the daughter of Keith Jesperson, also known as the Happy Face Killer.
My serial killer father from prison sends me letters like this.
Moore spoke with Business Insider about how she ended up working in true crime, setting boundaries with her documentary subjects, and how Blanchard Anderson's shocking post-prison popularity wasn't something she intended. I don't have anything against this woman, so please don't think. I think like if she wants to use her past experience of obviously being related to like a serial killer, then like, you know, and she obviously, you know, very good at what she does. Nothing the matter with her. She's creating a documentary. But I feel like she must have known. I mean, before this, like Gypsy had already had like 2 separate things, like The Act and then The Mother Dearest or whatever. So she'd already had other things made about her. So to then make the decision to not only film this, do the book, and then release on her release date, you must have known what you were doing, and also that would be the prime time to do it for financial purposes. Maybe she didn't get a say in when it was released, but something tells me like that isn't specifically very true, but whatever. I'm going to leave this actual like interview down in the description box and you guys can go ahead. I'm just gonna like cherry pick bits that I find interesting. He says, one thing that Gypsy and I had in common was that we both had pain in our life, and I think we both related to each other in the sense that people think they know us based on a crime. I know that there was more to me in relation to my father than what was told in the media. So I also understood that aspect for Gypsy, and this is the reasoning why she wanted to like give the microphone to Gypsy and have her, you know, actually say her side of the story rather than it be like a dramatized version of what happened, which I do understand that. She does go into a lot of detail about, you know, how she really did care for Gypsy and how she actually didn't speak to Gypsy for 30 days after finding out she was getting married to Ryan. Like they didn't talk for like 30 days because this lady had a vision for Gypsy, which wasn't the vision that she had for her. She envisioned Gypsy would like go and live a single life and date and stuff, and then wouldn't speak to her for 30 days. When she found out that Gypsy was getting married to Ryan, that there's a way of like, you know, you've gotten too involved. And the crazy thing is that loads of people have basically like tried to control Gypsy her whole entire life, and then I kind of feel like they were doing it as well. Anyway, it's my own opinion.
What are your plans for the future? Do you want to have a family?
That's always the goal. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, timeline on when is up in the air.
It's been stunning to see the wave of support for her, and there are lots of people rooting for her, but obviously some people are critical of how visible she's become after her release. And she says, that's not her fault. That is my fault. It's my fault for airing a documentary at her release. She genuinely did not know what she was walking into when she left. I actually recall when she was released, I had to tell her there was paparazzi, and she was shocked. She was like, why are they there? She was so surprised. I mean, she wasn't expecting this level of attention, and she didn't plan this to be the case. Yeah, in response, she literally says, her choice to get married in prison was one that I really grappled with. Actually, we didn't talk for about 30 days. When she broke the news to me that she was getting married, I was taken aback, and I told her that I honestly felt that she was making a mistake, and it felt like I couldn't protect her from herself. But then she then says we were all nervous about that choice for her, but she made that choice for her. Ultimately, it's what she wants to do. So I did get too invested in seeing a vision of her, because I pictured her being released from prison, and I saw her living this independent female life and dating on the outside, and that she had like a whole vision. That's like go on to say that, you know, she had like a deep investment in Gypsy, and that, yeah, she wouldn't talk to her for like 30 days because of what was happening for her. And I do think that, yeah, if you're like working on like documentaries, or you're, you know, like working on stuff like that, you obviously got to get to know the person. But I feel like this Moore lady just got herself like way too entangled in this. Yes, I think a lot of us did feel a little bit like, why is she getting married? But he wasn't the very first person that she was going to marry whilst being in prison. I said this from the very beginning, is that I think this whole like social media craze around her, I find it ultra interesting rather than just talking about the kind of case in itself. I find just all the other little parts quite interesting. I mean, even the lady who was like doing the documentary and the ebook ended up getting way too invested that she ended up getting butthurt that Gypsy was like getting married. And it's just like, I feel like it's a really like strange dynamic, and for you to then be butthurt but to then release the documentary and then blame it all on yourself. I don't think the documentary and the ebook and stuff was like to blame necessarily. I think it did definitely heighten the popularity, especially to an audience that doesn't know Gypsy. But I think to like blame this social media craze or just the bombardment of the paparazzi and all of that, these things definitely had a role to play, but I don't think that they were solely, you know, you can't put all the blame on the producer of it. And you can't also say like, oh, I didn't realize what was going to happen releasing it on her release date. I'm just so confused. Like, why not pick a different time? It just makes no sense. But maybe no time would have been good. But I just feel like everyone's got their little like hands and little paws in the honey pot. Do you know what I mean? And they're just like all wanting a little bit of it. And that's why I find the most interesting, because it is definitely a strange one. I mean, there's not many like murderers that you see just like walking out of prison and get offered like brand deals and stuff. There's like, can anyone think of any? Anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. It's a bit of a rambly one, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. Just little things that I've been seeing over on the internet. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch up with you guys in the next video.